This is Moomen Tonight. Welcome. Many thanks for joining us. We bring you the real stories.
Abdullah, have you put pepper in the tea?
My environment alone will tell you that I'm rich.
I've chosen to be in one of the very shallow pits. They also do have miscreants, but it doesn't mean that all of them are criminals.
We do not have a good geo-database of our mineral resources.
This is a time for us to share the oil money.
So terrorism is not going to be accepted on this continent.
If they see them coming here and going back there, they will be killed.
But God willing, I'll be back alive.
We're just about leaving on the night patrol with the AU forces here in Somalia.
The real issues, the real talk.
We are working together for the development of Ghana.
It means that we have separation of powers.
Already we're talking about what? A deficit of some 9% to 6.5%.
The critical challenge that faces every leader in the world today is the issue of creating jobs.
We will put at least 1 million people to work. Ghana, after 16 years, has a public structure that is not responsive.
Join me, Abdul Hayi Moomen, from Monday to Friday, 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. on GBC 24.
I'm humbled to welcome you to Moomen Tonight here on GBC 24. My name is Moomen, and tonight we take a look at one sector that affects all other sectors of the Ghanaian economy, and we'll be looking at, if you like, call it employment, and you will not be mistaken. We're looking at the NB and JICA National Kaizen project. We'll tell you more about that project as we proceed with the program. And with me in the studio are two gentlemen and a lady. I'll introduce them from my immediate left. We have Mr. Hirofumi Hoshi. He is the Chief Representative of JICA here in Ghana. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation here and coming to tell us about the Kaizen project. In the middle in Ghana, Ms. Kosi Yankee is the Executive Director of the NBSSI. Thank you very much. Pleasure to meet you. I've read about you, and it's my first time of meeting you personally, and I'm excited. And then we have Mr. Tamada Micho, who is the JICA expert of the National Kaizen project. Mr. Tamada, yes. I'm excited to have you in my studio this evening.
Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. Nice one. Thank you. You know, before discussion, I just want to find out from you and then also Mr. Hoshi, is this your first time in Ghana? I mean, how long have you been working in Ghana, I should say?
1 year and 3 months, sorry.
1 year. Same as you?
No, I started coming here back in 2016. But each year I've been staying here 3-4 months time like that. Yes.
What has the experience been working in Ghana and with Ghanaians?
Yeah, I've been enjoying every minute of it, working with NBSSI BSc head and also Ghanaian enterprises. So much.
Right.
Yes.
Mr. Hoshi, tell me your experience.
Well, the JICA is a government organization, the Japanese government organization for supporting Ghana as economic development. We have a lot of sectors for supporting. So I have a lot of opportunity to visiting all over the Ghana for looking our project and seeing the life of the Ghanaians.
And I tell you what, during the World Cup, I actually was rooting for Japan until you were kicked out. We'll get to talk about World Cup maybe after the show. But let's get to business right now. Ms. Yankee, you are the director of NBSSI. Can you briefly tell us exactly what it is that you do?
Okay, so thank you for inviting us over again. NBSSI is the National Board for Small Scale Industries, and it's an agency under the Ministry of Trade and Industry. It's actually the focal governmental agency that was set up and mandated micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country. And so over the years, we've really built our infrastructure with the support of various partners like JICA and other partners who've really strengthened the institution for us to be able to deliver the right kind of business development services to entrepreneurs and their businesses, and also in terms of access to finance or facilitating finance for them. So our setup is one that is kind of decentralized in the country, across the country. And then we have 175 district offices, which we've established in partnership with the Rural Enterprises Program and also district assemblies. So it's a demand-driven where we go in and ensure that we strengthen the local economy and ensure that we create jobs within that local economy, and that we really live up to the private sector-led economy that the government is talking about, to ensure that the next generation of businesses survive and thrive for generations.
Do you have a cutoff point, I mean, in defining what qualifies to be a small-scale business owner? For instance, do you have to employ a certain number of people? Do you have to have a certain, amount of space within which you work? What are the definitions?
Yes, so that's an interesting question, because NBSSI is mandated to define that according to the acts that Parliament set up for the nation as to what is a micro, small, or medium enterprises. And we've worked on that in the past with a lot of various stakeholders in industry. So yes, there are two things we look at. One is the number of people you employ, and the other is assets, taking away land and machinery, but really looking at what assets you have in the deployment of the work that you do. And so with micro, we have that definition, and with small, medium as well. And so our cutoff is really at the medium side, where we leave the large companies to be handled by others. But we really look across the entire spectrum of micro to medium.
At the beginning of when we talk about employment,
yes,
when I get the opportunity to come back to you again, that's one area I would like to ask you about.
Sure.
Your contribution to either increasing the unemployment rate or decreasing it. We'll find out what you have been doing in that respect. But let me turn my attention to you now, Mr. Hoshi. You're from JICA. JICA has been in Ghana for, well, as far as I remember. I've been hearing and reading about JICA, but exactly what are you doing in Ghana?
Well, the JICA is called the Japan International Cooperation Agency. It means the JICA is a government agency on behalf of Japanese government for the supporting the incorporation with economic development in Ghana. We have been working in Ghana since 1963, almost 55 years here in Ghana. So, and we, as a key partner in to Ghana, we support in the field of the sector like infrastructure, education, health, private sector development, agriculture, and so on. We're through the concessional loan, grant aid, and technical cooperation, including the volunteer scheme. So we are kind of such in Ghana.
Interesting, but you see, one question that Ghanaians are always keen for people like me to ask donors like JICA is, what is your interest? You talked about grants, you talked about loans, you talked about improving on the infrastructure in Ghana, but they say there's no free lunch. So why is JICA doing this for Ghana?
Well, the JICA is developing countries all over the world, including the African, sub-Saharan Africa. But for the as a part of the economic development, we are supporting the Ghana for the economic development through human resource development. That is a very key point. We are not only for the providing infrastructures and some equipment or something and for money. We are really think the importance of the human resource development. That is, human resources for the sustainable development. That is our key.
One other issue before I come to Mr. Tamada
Yes.
Is that when you consider other donor agencies who come from across the globe, even in the area of AIDS, you find donors have relaxed because they're tired. But you have been operating for 55 years. How much longer can you go?
Well, almost from the beginning of this country, Japan is fully committed to the development in Ghana. So we are very close relationship with partnership, economic ties, especially for our industry for chocolate. With 70% of the cocoa is coming from Ghana. That is a very famous brand of the chocolate that's called Ghana, made in Ghana. So we are for the Japanese people, Ghana is the most famous country in the African continent. That is for a very close relationship. That's why the Japan is committed to supporting to Ghana.
Right. So, Mr. Tamada, we've heard from the executive director of the NBSSI.
Yes,
we've heard from JICA.
Yes.
But we all know that in all of this, has been designated or christened the Kaizen project. You are a key part of that project. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be working here as a Kaizen consultant for this project in Ghana. The first, the Kaizen means it's to eliminate waste, such as 7 wastes, and reduce production cost, deliver product on time, and also morale and so on. So we, Japanese Kaizen experts, are training NBSSI, BSc heads, to become the national Kaizen consultant in the future, and also as well as trainers of Kaizen, and introducing Kaizen concept to micro, small, medium enterprises in the country. So far, 220 enterprises have benefited from 2012. Yes.
You say one of your aims is to reduce waste and increase productivity.
Right.
I'd like us to take it slowly. What kind of wastage have you found in our system?
Yes. Actually, we have visited many enterprises in Ghana. The most we have, in most cases, we have observed waste is kind of waiting, nothing, while they were supposed to work, while they are supposed to engage in production process. But we have observed some workers are just waiting and chatting, doing nothing, just waiting. So that is one.
Waiting for what?
Waiting for the instructions from supervisors, waiting for the arrival of the materials, something like that. And then okay, the transportations between the production. So because of the not well organized layout in the factories, so the people had to transport the materials or finished products or work in process inventories between the processes. So those transportation, we got to reduce the distance of the transportation between the production process. So that means while we are doing that way, can reduce, can make reduce the time, the production process time. So that means that much they can manage to increase the productivity.
Yes. I'll stay well longer with you because you talk about 3 very important things. So you've taken out the issue of the waste, but you also talked about increasing employee morale.
Yes.
In our part of the country, for many employees, morale is only them and pay them well. Is that what you refer to?
Yes, but of course that is a very important factor for the people to stay, to continue working in the companies. But also, apart from that, we have doing the five-S activities. We have encouraged enterprises to implement five-S activities. So that means through five-S activities, the working environment is getting better. And also, we have provided safety, occupational safety training to the management of the enterprise as well as to the workers. So that means they're able to work more comfortable working environment. So that much the employee can boost their morale.
And on the last issue before I get back to the executive director is the issue of costs during production. We know industries, the cost of electricity, you have already mentioned the issue of transportation. These are very key when you look at the cost of productivity, and these cannot be controlled by the industries themselves.
Yes, right.
You are training them to be cost effective. What are the other ways?
First, yes, electricity cost is beyond control, as a matter of fact. But once they have managed to defects, so by reducing the defect rates, they could manage to reduce the production cost. There is no doubt about it. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So let me bring you into the picture once again, Ms. Yankee. We want to look at specifically how important the NBSSI is to our economy, and I specifically want to find out in terms of employment, because that is a major problem. And you heard one of the former president talking about unemployment being the priority for every government. So you tell me, how much employment have you created or uncreated, so to speak?
Uncreated? I don't think we've uncreated.
Well, I know why I'm asking you that, because during periods, and I know you recall when we had the energy crisis, industries had to lay off people.
Yes, and I think that's why you have institutions or agencies such as NBSSI that come in, and the role is that to industries, one, to help them to grow and to be strengthened, so that in times of challenges, they're still able to be resilient. And that's why we have the Kaizen programs, which come in. Because you look at it from the point that, yes, electricity prices go up, but there's so much wastage in the system, like my colleague was saying right here, that sometimes it's even more than the electricity costs that we worry about. So what is it that institutions such as NBSSI do for these enterprises? Is we go into the enterprises, we ensure wastage. We're also trying to create access to markets for them and find access to market for them. What we also do in the local economies, our business advisory centers, as I mentioned, we have 175 of them across the nation. We also provide technical support to the citizens of various districts. And by doing that, we teach them how to develop skills, right? And start a business and start entrepreneurial ventures. We have incubators and acceleration programs for them. And then our partners as well, to those who have either been laid off, who have never had a job and are looking for job creation and all sorts of other different things. So I can safely say in the past 3 years that at least 18,000 jobs, right, across the districts. Because bear in mind that even if you're creating 100 jobs per district, which to me is even little, and we should be doing way more than that, right? Then even these numbers look small, but we're in 175 districts. So bear that in mind as well. With regards to the numbers of what we did, we provided training programs in business development, in starting your own businesses, in really working on your bookkeeping, in technical assistance. 20,000 people benefited from our technical services, which is, if I don't have a skill, I want to start a business, and you know, for the micro business aspect of things, where we went in and provided them with, okay, how do you even start making soap? We do a needs assessment with them and help them. For small and medium the country, we went in and provided them with business training, access to financing, facilitating financing with various banks, and we have a fund in-house as well, which we also use to jumpstart some of them to be able to see that they grow. So last year, in excess of 5,000 jobs were created through our entity, and I think we can do more. It all falls back on resources to support it, and also support with programs such as Kaizen and JICA, where we go into businesses, we build them and strengthen them. They have access to better markets in the whole push for industrialization. Able to also bring on board more people to grow their businesses.
Right. Mr. Hoshi, for every sponsor, donor, accountability is key. Do you believe that your sponsorship it's being utilized effectively?
Well, of course, I believe so. So, and of course, we JICAs monitoring the activities. Our staff in charge in the office are visiting all activities and also discuss with Madam Yankee and also other staff of the NBSSI.
All right, and to explain this project to a lot more Ghanaians to understand what it is that JICA and NBSSI are doing for the economy, a documentary has been produced. This documentary explains in detail. It's very short. It explains exactly what it is that JICA and NBSSI are doing in respect of this project known as the Kaizen project. We'll watch that documentary, but when we come back, Mr. Tamada and Mr. Hoshi will take leave of us, and then we'll speak directly to some of those who have benefited directly from this project, so we all know how we can also as Ghanaians come on board if we get the opportunity. Let's now.
MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises are accounted for 90% of Ghana's manufacturing industry. In the development of the country, the evolution of these MSMEs is indispensable in the future of economic growth. Therefore, NBSSI, National Board for Small-Scale Industries, has established throughout the country for the promotion and development of MSMEs in each district. Kaizen, Japanese word, and it's a philosophy and methodology that has supported the development of manufacturing in Japan, has been introduced to NBSSI under the support of the Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA, to enhance their productivity and quality. The NBSSI provides business development services, includes enterprise diagnosis and Kaizen to enterprises to recognize their challenges and implement suggested improvement activities for the growth of MSMEs. Kaizen is not for only medium-sized companies. Kaizen can be applied to micro and small-scale enterprises. And many enterprises experienced remarkable improvements throughout the country.
My name is Kosi Yankee, the Acting Executive Director for the National Board for Small-Scale Industries. The National Board for Small-Scale Industries is the focal governmental agency that is mandated to strengthen, develop, grow, and sustain micro, small, and medium enterprises in Ghana. We have 173 offices in the various districts, and our head office is located. What are some of the challenges facing micro, small, and medium enterprises in Ghana? Is the quality of the business development services, or even lack of the right training programs for them to develop themselves, or even develop their management team. Another challenge that I realize and I notice, which most people tend to ignore, is the quality of human resource to support and assist them with the work that they do. Here at NBSSI, our goal is to strengthen them. Our goal is to ensure that we put an enabling environment to ensure that the chances of survival of 90% of this economy, which is micro, small, and medium enterprises, are available.
and are accessible through our support systems and through our business development services. Currently, we do a lot of work with Kaizen. Kaizen is one of our flagship programs, which we have actually deployed throughout the country. We work a lot with various partners, including JICA, and JICA over the years has program.
Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA started bilateral aid since 1963. So Ghana and Japan have been good partners for more than 50 years. One of JICA's target areas in Ghana is industry development. JICA have been conducting Kaizen projects since 2012.
Kaizen means improvement in Japanese. In Japan, when we are developing stage after the World War II, that was finished in 1945, lots of small companies struggling to have a good business and better productivity. One of such companies is Toyota. Not all of their business went well at the beginning, but the continuous trial and errors for improving their business, they created applied Kaizen methodologies, which led such as worldwide leading companies. Kaizen method has been applied for many companies, which was made Japan as advanced industrial countries in the world. I strongly believe the Kaizen will help industry development and have a better quality of life for people in Ghana.
Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy. Continuous improvement of quality and productivity with minimum investment. Kaizen is said to be the essence of sustainable growth of the manufacturing sector in Japan. The goal of Kaizen is to assist MSMEs add value to their products, have secure places of work and continuously improve production processes with the view to growing their enterprises. 5F is the name of a workplace organization method that uses a list of 5 Japanese with S. Seiri, sorting, to keep only necessary items and eliminate things not required. Seitan, setting in order, to place the necessary items at easy access locations. Seiso, shining and sweeping, to clean the workspace and all equipment, and keep it clean. Seiketsu, standardizing, to maintain the sorting, setting in order and shining and sweeping. Shitsuke, custom everyone to follow set rules and procedures. It describes how to organize a workplace to ensure efficiency, effectiveness and safety by identifying and sorting the items used, maintaining the area and items, and sustaining the new order. Kaizen is well known to achieve efficient and effective production as elimination of the 7 wastes such as overproduction, waiting, transportation, inventory and defects. In Kaizen, in order to reduce those wastes, those focuses are mainly put on improvement of site or layout change, elimination of waste in conveyance and motion of machine and operators, elimination of waste in accumulation, put in place the visual control, multi-skill development or standardization of work, inventory control and placement of order for parts and materials. The actual case of Kaizen. The sewing factory in Accra, this company established in 1997, has its own apparel brand in addition to sewing, and is being deployed both domestically and internationally. About 150 people work in this factory. They have a storeroom, sewing section and quality and floor, and there is a sewing section and a cutting section on the first floor. For the implementation of enterprise diagnosis, the BAC officers visit factory to observe the workplace and collect necessary data. the BAC officers analyze collected data to identify challenges and recommendation. The team also uses SWOT analysis and radar charts to clarify the strengths and weaknesses of the company. Present the result of enterprise diagnosis and discuss Kaizen activities to be implemented with the enterprise. Then, Kaizen activities are carried out. Before implementation, the BAC officers deliver lecture on 5S and Kaizen activities to workers to enroute and sustain Kaizen and 5S activities.
The team has made very good inputs and suggestions into how we carry out on the production floor and a whole lot of things. So we still believe that as they are still here giving us expertise advice and all that, certainly we are going to make some improvements on whatever inputs or suggestions they make to us. Yeah.
The company is big and they are also doing well, and they have some improvement system in place already, just that it needs to be enhanced and improved. Improve their productivity and quality as well. So Kaizen activity is applicable in this enterprise.
First, the team cleaned the entire floor with all workers. There were many things scattered on the floor before the cleaning. Thorough cleaning prevents the occurrence of stains on materials and products. It also reduces the possibility of mechanical failure caused by dust. In cut, fabrics were spread on the mat at the factory floor, which was prone to dust stains and dirt. The team, in consultation with the management of the company, constructed 2 wooden fabric holders to contain the fabrics. And there was a waste of time. The worker had to go to the storeroom on the ground floor to get the new material. To solve it, the metal rack was introduced to keep materials beside the cutting section. It succeeded in shortening the time considerably. There. The sewing section used to be cluttered with materials and products, but with the introduction of daily 5S activities, the environment has improved and now it is clean and tidy. Materials such as yarn are stored in a box that prevents dust and can be taken out immediately. Also prepared the basket for the cloth which had been thrown away on the floor before. In the storeroom, the team sorted each material by their type, color, size. Of time that workers were looking for materials, and the store staff was able to quickly figure out how much stock was left.
Before Kaizen came here, when we get to our stores, if you want bottoms, it's been mixed up. Black, white, ash, it's mixed up, but by the introduction of setting in order, the colors have been separated. If you see white in a container, black in a container, they are all well arranged and labeled. If you get to our car, you could see fabric on the floor, but when Kaizen came in, they provided racks for us, and the fabrics are on the racks, and it's well arranged, it's very nice, a space has been created.
The ones available has been set in order, and now we are very much aware, okay, of the shining aspects, that is the cleaning aspect, and we have strategies in place to ensure that the whole production floor is clean. That is to the 5S, the shine. Through the Kaizen project, we now have a quality cycle in place that will help us to maintain our quality and also improve on the quality aspect. And we are believing that we'll be able to sustain it so that the production floor will be well organized, having 5S in place, having Kaizen in place. So in as much as we are increasing productivity, we are also decreasing the waste that we have been incurring over the past. So in a nutshell, the Kaizen project has really helped us a lot. And also to work according to standard, because building a world-class manufacturing company is what we are aiming at, and Kaizen is really helping us to get there. We are very much grateful.
The quality control section introduced the quality inspection sheet and updated the customer order sheet.
When we start work, we do our sample checks, but there's no procedure guiding us as to what to check on the items. But we have detailed procedures on it as to how to go about everything. So anytime an item is supposed to be done, samples are done, and we take the quality inspection to follow the processes to be done.
The quality control circle was formed to maintain a continuous quality control. QC circle activities are small group activities whereby workers carry out improvements to products, service and work continuously. A lecture on enable all the workers appreciate and become conscious of the concept of quality. A lecture on supply chain management was done to ensure a systematic and strategic coordination and supply management of goods and products required by the customer.
Yes, it has changed. Team spirit is very, very high. Morale is very, very high. We took figures from July, July to analyze. And then we realized that figures, that is both sales and production figures, for July and August showed about 30 to 35% increase. And in our report, we attributed most of the improvements in the figures, that is the production figures and sales figures, to the introduction of the Kaizen project we have over here. Yeah, they've come out with very good ideas, and it's helping us improve. We have attended other workshops that the 5S was, but it didn't catch up with us like how the NBSSI Kaizen team came. You know, we didn't really understand it at the time. And now we fully understand what the 5S stands for and all that.
Right, welcome back. We just finished watching a little documentary explaining the work that the NBSSI Kaizen project about. And of course, this project has benefited a number of Ghanaian entrepreneurs and industries, and unfortunately we have been joined in the studio by two ladies who will be telling us their experience with the project and how they have benefited from it. Joining us in the studio, where already we have Ms. Kosi Yankee, who is the Executive Director of NBSSI, seated in the middle. At the far left, Ms. Francisca Opoku. Ms. Francisca Opoku is with the Solution Oasis. Thank you very much, Francisca, for joining us. And then seated immediately to my left is Ms. Linda Kanko. She is with Nalem Clothing. Thank you very much for joining us. So let me start with you, Linda. So tell me about your very first experience with this project and what your initial reaction was when you heard about them.
Yeah, thank you. When the Kaizen NBSSI came knocking on our doors, we were very enthused to receive them, because we believe that once the Kaizen is accepted in our industry, we're going to have a lot of benefits. So we're very much involved from the top management level. We're very much involved in implementing the Kaizen, and even more involved in the lectures that were organized for. So we showed a lot of commitment.
Francisca, I'll ask you the same question. Your initial impressions after your first interaction with the project.
When we were first approached by NBSSI, we knew at the time we had issues to be resolved in terms of our production and productivity and processes, because my background really is marketing. And so there are some issues on the factory floor and some areas of the business that I normally rely on experts to. Definitely, we were very excited about this opportunity offered us by NBSSI. I actually already knew about Kaizen because I'm a member of AGI, and I knew it was piloted in Kumasi. And I was hoping one day we would get the chance to. So we actually ran for it because we knew it was going to help, and it really did.
Mr. Tabada tells us that they are training Ghanaian entrepreneurs and industries to save costs, to and all those other things. Can you tell us, is this true? How has it affected positively or negatively the business that you are into?
It is absolutely true. That's because we did not have specific processes in place. And when they came, they did the diagnosis. We actually agreed with a lot of what they had diagnosed, but we did not know what to do about them. So just by in place, starting from the Shine, where they helped us kind of clear up, it just reduces the health and safety. So you don't spend so much, on hospital bills, or there are less accidents. And in terms of the systems, the productivity, for us, by the time we did the first assessment, we had increased the production on a particular machine by 100%. And as a result of that, and so many others are actually looking at benefits and perks for our employees. When you do Kaizen, you kind of cut down costs, and you also increase your profits. And there's also something about the mindset that I really loved about it. Suddenly we are feeling like we are a proper factory. I used to call my place a manufactory, a place where we manufacture. Right. Now I call it a factory, no matter how small. So you don't have to be like a very big business. You could be a cute business like ours. Put in place their processes. The employees are now wearing their proper safety gear. They know what they have to do at what time. And you can also check, because there's documentation that goes with it. Suddenly, we are also a factory.
Wow. Linda, tell me, so your brand is well known.
Yes.
Kaizen comes in to change what about you?
Yeah. So initially, we're having challenges in terms of productivity. So when Kaizen came, that is a quantity. It shot our productivity high as 82%. Our turnover rate reduced by 20%. Our sales figures, for instance, rose as high as 40 to 50%. And defect rate, which is very, very key, because Kaizen is all about productivity and quality. Defect rates reduced to from 10% to 0.3%. So to us, it has been of great impact to us, especially the elimination of waste. Just watch, you realize that we're spending so much time in the storeroom just to get a simple button. But with the introduction of Kaizen, all that waste has been reduced. Now, when we enter a storeroom, within some few seconds, we're able to pinpoint the color we are looking for, and up we are at production. Yeah, so in all, I think it has been of great benefit to us. And the presence of the NBSSI monitoring and following up on us has also kept us on our toes.
But, Mr. Tamada also spoke about the issue of costs.
Yeah.
And my question to you, to them at the time when they were here, was that we don't control most of the things that account for production cost and so on. Yeah. So electricity was key in the issue that we talked about. Have you been able to save costs?
Yes, we have. When it comes to, for instance, under Kaizen, where we pack our tools in a certain order. Initially, the tools were all scattered. So if you have a machine breakdown during production, looking for a particular tool, you can't even trace where it is, and which meant you have to go and buy a tool to come and fix your machine. But now with the introduction of Kaizen, the Saturn board is clearly labeled, all the tools are in order. So initially, the money you'd have incurred on getting more tools is no longer there, because everything is arranged in a certain...
Let me bring in Ms. Yankee at this point. So obviously, from the evidence that we are getting from the beneficiaries, it's been very successful. But what if somebody says, okay, so how did you select NALEM and Oasis? Probably Linda is your friend, probably Francisca is your friend, so you chose them. Somebody's sitting at home right now wishing that they could be a part of this project, they could benefit from this project. How do they get through to you?
I think that have two models sitting right here, but there are hundreds more across the country who have also benefited from it. And I didn't know these two women until I started working with them to really strengthen their businesses. And that's with the thousands of other businesses that we've worked with in the past year, working on Kaizen and strengthening the businesses. We are very accessible. Like I mentioned, we have 175 district offices where we have these business advisory centers, and people can come to us and mind that Kaizen is not the only thing we're doing. NBSSI is a one-stop shop for business starting up or businesses that are already in the process, who do their own business and need support. And so when they come to us and we realize that Kaizen is a tool that can be used to strengthen their businesses, we provide it for them. Because as we said, JICA has trained almost 60 of our business advisory staff to provide this consultancy services across the nation. And so we are accessible. What we do is we actually go around and look for businesses. So when we want to start a new cohort of business, we actually go to the businesses. We look for those who are in the system who we have never worked with or haven't even heard of before. Some fall along the roadside. You know, there are some who decide that we are not interested anymore because, as you know, Ghanaians like to hold a lot of their business thinking it's a secret. But the beauty of what they've been able to do is to say that we have a problem, we have a challenge. So come in and help us deal with the challenge. Move this country into a phase of industrialization and try to push manufacturing and strengthen businesses. You can't do that by holding things to your chest. You need to open up. And yes, people complain about government institutions, but these institutions, there are some good ones and strengthened ones that will actually provide the support that would come in and ensure that your businesses are strengthened, that you can grow, you can hire more people, that you can increase productivity, profitability, and reduce defects. Because if you're also looking to export, you need all these.
Back to Francisca and Linda, quickly, if you find it appropriate, we have a larger picture to look at, the one district, one factory policy of the government. Francisca in particular says she now feels like a factory. Now, you feel that if this Kaizen project is embraced by a lot more people, that this 1D, 1F we've been talking about will come to fruition?
I think that what will happen, that is a complementary services for 1D, 1F and industrialization. And the goal is for us to work very closely with these industries and factories, which we already do, right? And so last year we launched the 100 Business Acceleration Program, using Kaizen as a tool to accelerate businesses. Because you realize that a lot of the businesses we have need to move from one level to the next level. They need to grow and expand the businesses. They need to be stronger. They need to be able to export more. They need to be able to make operations. And so with programs that we have at NBSSI, one like we're talking about today, Kaizen coming in, we're able to diagnose and see how to strengthen these industries so that they actually grow and become bigger. And we see it. The numbers don't lie. We have the numbers, we have the data, we have the follow-up, and we have the businesses, as I said, two of them sitting next to me, and I'm happy that they're speaking without a gun to their head. So that means that they are really telling us what it is that they need to.
Kosi told us, Linda, that employment, the story, it's good. Now, since you encountered this project, you encountered NBSSI, JICA, have you been able to expand your business in terms of the number of people who have been brought on board?
Yes, we have. Kaizen has this strategy called continuous improvement. So when we started Kaizen, initially we, like from the fabrics were littered on the floor. So during the shining bits, we had to do away with that. So in that process, we had this thought that, so why don't we recycle the leftover fabrics into something else? So this continuous improvement idea came. So we're able to create a line that we now use this recycled products, recycled waste to come out with creative and innovative products like neckties for men and then clutch accessories. And in doing so, which meant that we had to increase our staff strength. because you needed to create a line. So the introduction of Kaizen has further enabled us hire more people, which in the long run helps to reduce the unemployment rates in Ghana. A chunk of them are women, which we are in very much support of.
Okay, Francisca, tell me about what's happening at your end. Have you been able to explain?
Definitely. I think expansion in terms of employment is twofold. On the first part, for the same number of people we had, they're able to produce a lot more than they did before. What we are able to do now as a result of Kaizen is that we can have different brigades or groups on various workstations. So when we have an order, because the beauty secrets line has different products, you can have one group working on soap, on cream. This was not the case before Kaizen. So internally, if we had 10 people doing this, today the 10 people do twice. That's one thing. You don't also have to forget that once you get that efficient and once your quality is increased and everything, your customers are assured of getting their goods on time and in good quality. As a result of that, we have expanded the amount of exports we are doing. And currently, I'm supposed to be a competitor, Share Radiance. She's in my industry, but she has an order in the US and I'm producing for her. And due to the processes we are doing, we're able to get on more people, and we have already done the first batch. So come August 15th, our products will be on the shelves of how they call it in the US.
Wow, great. That's exciting news. And I wish this conversation could go on and on, because I'm learning a lot, but we can't go away without turning to Kosi to find out the way forward. That's number one. And number two, how do interested parties get in touch with you?
Okay. So we have really ambitious plans for the way forward for doing this. One is there are 6 regions that have benefited from Kaizen currently, and we're looking at the National Expansion Program and drawing a roadmap with our partners from JICA to be able to expand it across the whole nation. And the beauty is that even other West African countries are coming to learn and see how this expansion is happening. So that is one of the things. The other thing is we're also working very closely with JICA to set up the Kaizen Institute, which is one of our strategic plans here in Ghana. Because bear in mind that it's not only for a certain segment. There are 2 people sitting here, one in the beauty cosmetics sector. There's one also in the garment and textile. So it cuts across board. And this is something that entrepreneurs can learn. People who want to be entrepreneurs, students of different people can benefit from it to strengthen their enterprises and businesses to grow. So yes, there's the national expansion, there's the really institution of the Kaizen Institute, and a fund to support the businesses who go through this process. So we're in talks a lot with JICA to see how best to really expand it and how best internally. The government has also shown interest in seeing how we can use this to really support the industrial drive of the nation. So there's a lot happening within the sector.
And you haven't told me how we can get in touch with you.
So to get in touch with us, we have a head of. We also have regional offices in all the regions, and district offices as well. Our district offices currently, which are the business advisory centers, and some of them we are converting to the business resource centers, are set up in the district assembly unit. So once you go in there, you see the NBSSI BACs in the system. Once you can also call us on 0302 266 8641.
030 8301
8641.
41.
Yes.
Where did I get that 0 from? All right. Thank you very much for coming. It's exciting having 3 ladies on the set this evening, but previously, before they came, we had 2 gentlemen who were here with us also. They were Mr. Hoshi, Hirofumi Hoshi, who is the chief representative of JICA here in Ghana, as well as Mr. Tamada Micho, but with the National Kaizen Project. But of course, throughout the show, we've had Ms. Kosi Yankee, NBSSI Executive Director, here with us. And we're joined later by the two ladies seated to the extreme left and right, respectively. They are Linda Kanko, who is from Nalem Clothing, as well as Ms. Francisca Opoku, who is from Solution Oasis. Thank you very much, everybody, for being a part of the show. For those of you who are interested, you saw the number, and I will try and get it up on our social media handles as well as on the screens for you to call them and ask them further questions. So we'll see you again tomorrow when we bring you another edition of Moomen Tonight. Have a very good night. Bye-bye. This is Moomen Tonight. Welcome. Many thanks for joining us. We bring you the real stories.
Abdullah, have you put pepper in the tea?
My environment alone will tell you that I'm rich.
I've chosen to be in one of the very shallow pits. They also do have migrants, but it doesn't mean that all of them.
We do not have a good geo-database of our mineral resources.
This is a time for us to share the oil money.
So terrorism is not going to be accepted on this continent.
If they see them coming here and going back there, they'll be killed.
But God willing, I'll be back alive.
We're just about leaving on the night patrol with the AU forces here in Somalia.
The real issue. We are working together for the development of Ghana.
It means that we have separation of powers.
Already we're talking about moving from what? A deficit of some 9% to 6.5%.
The critical challenge that faces every leader in the world today is the issue of creating jobs.
We will put at least 1 million people to work.
Ghana, at the 6th,
the public structure that is not responsive.
Join me, Abdul Hayi Moomen, Moomen Tonight, from Monday to Friday, 8:15 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. on GBC 24.